My name is Njoki Chege, and I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to the Aga Khan University Graduate School of Media and Communication Innovation Center. When we were conceptualizing this event, we wanted to start with a bang, and we wanted to understand how does technology affect media and what does technology mean for the future of media. And the first person that came to our minds was Professor Bitange Ndemo. Now, he needs no introduction. I am not going to eat into his time by introducing him. You all know him. And so I'd like to gladly hand over the mic to Prof. Karibu sana. Thank you so much.
We are in a very, very, very transformative period. I mean, it's going to affect everybody. I am not a prophet, but I've begun to see that indeed this fourth industrial revolution is coming. Not media would be spared, not other formal employment that would be spared. It is shifting towards that direction. And the function we had in the afternoon, we were looking at how ICTs can facilitate trade in the region, which also again touched on the fourth industrial revolution. The sad thing is that there are actually some countries who are still debating, should we move or should we not move ahead with technology? You cannot isolate yourself when everybody has moved towards that direction. I could see other countries saying, oh, Kenya has done this, Kenya has done that. We did make, our President Kibaki made some right decisions on broadband. The penetration in this country is almost 80%. Yeah? Almost everybody has access. Burundi, only 10% has that. Other countries, on average, the entire Africa is around 35%. We are a little ahead of South Africa. And what that means is that we have infrastructure can actually propel us beyond where we are. And that infrastructure is actually helping in every sector. If you go to Mombasa Road and try to see how many Kenyans working in machine learning, those who are training. Americans are making driverless cars. Kenyans are recreating the ability for those vehicles to run. And sometimes it's good to visit the place. There are almost 6,000 young people working using machine learning. Machine learning is one step away from artificial intelligence. And when Daktari asked me to come, I said it's a good opportunity because even just the discourse around the fourth industrial revolution, it means a lot to our people. Just last week, OECD invited me to go and speak about what we are doing with respect to those technologies, we call them exponential technologies, that would bring disruptions in the days to come. And even before I finished, the EU said, no, we need to have this discourse, so we are again going to meet in Malaga. Just between now and December, there are like 6 conferences which are just discussing in that space. We had a conference in Rwanda, which World Bank organized. This was on education. I think I told you about it. We were simply looking at what is Africa's readiness to this animal that is coming? And only 6 countries that have made strides towards exploiting that technology. Yeah? This is South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, Botswana, Namibia. Even Nigeria is not anywhere nearby. It's not anywhere nearby. I don't know whether you have broadband here. You have broadband. You can project here. So you continue projecting because I'm going to give that as an example. You begin to see the impact of that. So let me simplify what the fourth industrial revolution would be by explaining to you how we have moved ever since we had the first industrial revolution. The first was when we began to mechanize, so that we improve on productivity. And that happened mostly in Europe, US, using tools to facilitate farming so that they can harvest more. They have gone so far. But still in Africa, we are still digging to grow maize and stuff. Then the second industrial revolution, around 1900, they started looking at how can everybody afford a car. So Ford was the first company to do mass production by creating the industrial production line, and reduced the cost. Many people afforded, became more productive. Because growth in any economy comes from how productive that economy is. That's an economic term. Let me simplify it a little further. If you see the third industrial revolution, we were almost going to miss it, which was characterized by ICTs. But somehow, M-Pesa actually brought that to us. Now, you want to know that before M-Pesa, the fastest means of sending money to even Kisumu, Mombasa, was Posta, 4 days. A patient has been discharged, and then you go to Posta to send a telegram so that the patient is discharged. 4 days down the road, the hospital says the patient has been eating 4,000 shillings more. Checks. Somebody in Kiambu pays you a check. That used to be known up-country check. Up-country checks used to take 22 days. So when someone came for the money, you excitedly gave the check even when you don't have money, because you have 22 days to look for money and the deposit. That cost is the cost of inefficiency and productiveness. Just 4 years ago, to apply for the passport, you had to go to Nyayo House, pick the forms, go fill them, then someone tells you, kwenda tafuta chief, assign up, kwenda fanya hii. The trips you made to get the passport actually were a minimum of 5. You go to check whether it's ready and whatever. That has been disrupted by filling this online, making payment online, and even getting SMS to inform you. We are more productive, If you go to Burundi, which is a member of East African country, they keep on asking, why is Rwanda getting their imports faster than Kenya? Rwanda is processing their imports via online, whereas Burundi is trying to bring their bill of lading, I don't know whether any one of you went to customs before automation. I went to clear a car in Mombasa. I was crying. They stamp, they tell you, kwenda huko, pale, usunguke, that port. And that's February. The temperature, the humidity, and everything, you are sweating around, and all that. In the next 2-3 years, that you would clear the vehicle while you are seated in your comfort zone. We are more productive. And indeed, the growth you are seeing in the GDP comes from productivity. That's why wananchi sometimes don't understand exactly where is the growth coming from. That is from the general side. The fourth industrial revolution, there will be a number of technologies that would drive the fourth industrial revolution. Key among them is blockchain. I would explain it because it will touch on media also. This is the background. Another is artificial intelligence. Another is Internet of Things. In fact, from January, actually December, January, everybody seated here would know what IoT is, because the platforms have come. Now we are looking for younger people to set up enterprises on top of the platform and begin to offer solutions. So somebody would come to you and say, I want to put sensors on your car, you know. These sensors is that Daktari takes his car to a garage and arrives there and tells the mechanic, please return my gearbox because you have already removed it. I said, gearbox. I can even tell you where you have hidden it, because this has a sensor where IoT is machines talking to other machines. Machines talking to other machines. When that thing has a sensor, means on my mobile I can know precisely where to go and find such a thing. Or a child, you know, who has been picked from school and you have put a sensor somewhere. You could very easily ask the driver, kwa nini mnapita njia hiyo? Because your child is supposed to go home. Now, if you attend these conferences in Barcelona, you will be scared, you know. They are putting sensors in children's clothing that the maid doesn't even know, that you know precisely. The one I like most is to put sensors on the shoes of your spouse. If she if he goes like this, you say, did you break the leg? Because it is uncharacteristic. Some would almost interfere with our privacy, but you are going to see that. Of course, there are so many. You are beginning to see 3D printing. In the next 5 years, you will not buy the shoes from Bata. Actually, you won't buy from Bata. You go to Bata, you put your leg there, you choose what you want to make your shoes, and it is printed according to your leg. You know, we force our staff into this, and some of us have longer legs and shorter legs at the same time, so they would create all this. This is going to happen. Some things look like stories that may not work, but that's the more important one is AI, artificial intelligence, and it does so many things. But the more important one that would help us is processing of natural languages, you know, natural or the languages that we speak, you know, that I can speak my mother tongue and you understand, you know. Most of you say that is useless. When you speak English or French, you don't have the full confidence when you speak. These are studies from, you know, whatever. And sometimes you say words you didn't mean to say. Like when a politician says to villagers, yeah, I want you people to be more productive, you know. There is not one language in Africa that has the equivalent of productivity. So what do? They go make more kids. You understand why we need our languages. So you actually mean what you mean. You say what I mean, and the system can actually translate that. But the most important in AI, if you have time, you go online and check a small school here called M-Schule. M-Schule is an adaptive learning system. You know. The way God created us, some people get things fast. Others take a while, you know. Others take longer. 10% of us cannot receive information at the same rate that the fastest person can get it. He is a teacher, I'm a teacher. I know that, you know. You go into a class, 5% they can even teach on your behalf very fast. 20%, you say things, you keep on seeing their head, yeah. Another 20%, you really need to work harder. There is 15%. When you sleep, you pray that they get something out of. It's not that they are foolish. It is not that they are foolish. It is the speed of delivery. So some of you who thought you were poor in mathematics, you can actually now do math at the speed at which you can comprehend, and you become very good in mathematics. That's why adaptive learning would change. Most parents deny that my son or my daughter is not autistic, because it's not something you can know. Others have dyslexia, others have ADHD. You've seen recently people coming to say, I was dyslexia, because we have no place of doing this. All those will be helped through adaptive learning, and they become as normal as other people. That is AI for you. It's very, very powerful. And it will create more jobs than the narrative you have that it will kill jobs. I can stand here and tell you so many things about it. But the one now that links to media is big data analytics. Big data analytics. There is nothing you can make a decision about without data. Nothing. Even when I decide to go home, yeah, I can check from Google. It tells me if you go through Peponi, it's going to take you 1 hour. If you go through Limuru Road, it's going to take you 30 minutes. Then you make a decision. If you have the culture of checking that. Now let me surprise you. I've been working with young people in Kibera to map Kibera. They have mapped the entire, it's called Map Kibera. Check it on Map Kibera. Map Kibera mapped everything. They know where every asset is, every small route. In fact, they used it to talk to security and put policemen and lights in some places where women were being raped, and corrected that. We struggled, went to see a former minister and told him 96% of schools in Kibera were either informal or some ramshackle run by the private sector. He said, no, there are public schools there. There are actually 3 public schools which have 2,000, 3,000 kids. You know, the parents, if you listened carefully to those the parents, they were still supportive of the past, irrespective of what happened, because he has changed the lives. The kids go there and pass. 96%. This is where government went to bed and slept without knowing that things had changed. They needed to build more schools. You saw in Wiki, a piece in Nation, that the place where they have only 1 public school, there are 600,000 people living there. Yeah? The minister went and shut some schools, but nobody dared to tell him, Waziri, there are no schools. The debate ought to be about poverty and the neglect of the poor people, that the services are not being given. We are not even talking about water. We're talking about education, we're talking about health. There is nothing called health. They struggle to go to Kenyatta National Hospital. There is nothing in the whole of that place. Imagine in the middle of the night, if there were not these lights now, how do you take a patient to hospital? So the narrative that should be is not Sonko firing 16 people, is what are we doing to solve the problems of poverty? Because numbers have shown that there are no schools, That's where 94% of the schools are private. But nobody is addressing that issue. And it's going to be missed. And it brings me to media. Yeah? Media knows this. Media can go interview Joshua. They give him the maps. They show him this is here. And we have a piece that actually gives you proper information. But what does media do? They go there to report, you know? Yeah, then 10 people died here. Let's go. Is this media? At least one lady tried. She trekked with the kids to 45-minute distance and assessed all the risk in the way and looked at that school, where it was, the proximity, the performance, and whatever. Yeah? Investigative journalism, where you give a full story. I don't know whether any one of you read Wall Street when it was Wall Street. They used to write the front page story. It would go like 5 pages, and people read through. This is not like the acreage you are told that write this much, we are paying you for this much, you know. You write the full story. We used to have something called weekly review. In fact, it used to review things for the whole week, and you actually get to understand the issue. We have lost that. We have lost that. And you look at other issues. That is one. Some guy wakes up from London with a Mzungu and says he has done a survey about governors. And all the newspapers give full page. And then I said, let me check whether this guy has a website. Did anybody check? Did anybody check? This is what media is ought to be doing. Check the background of the guy. What has he done, you know? Every time I go to conferences and someone, they say, minor something, I check Google. I say, this guy has divorced 5 women, I can't trust him, you know? This is what, you get everything from Google or Facebook. You actually get everything from social media, from all this, and it begins the contract of trusting what is coming out, yeah? So you know, nobody checked on that guy. So I looked all over there, I looked in social media. Do you know he doesn't have even an office? Even an office. That I called 3 counties. Nobody went there to collect the data. Nobody went, yeah? Nobody asked him, tell us the method you used, whether that methodology was consistent with the results that he was providing. When you say 444, this governor of Machakos, that is to say you are comparing, you are looking countrywide, and there is a governor for Machakos. You understand where I'm getting? Nobody questioned that. Nobody said, let's put this guy on the carpet. And then nobody has written a comprehensive story on polling. Because from 2021, you would see so many of them are polled by Ndemo polling something. And then people, and then the politician goes saying, Muliona, Muliona. Your role as the fourth estate, actually you are supposed to look at facts and present the facts the way they are. But sometimes media is actually used to propagate information that is not correct. Then it removes that aspect of being objective. There are several stories you don't see objectivity at all. And then nobody goes back to say we were promised this as a strategy to fight corruption. See, it's been said several times, we do lifestyle audit. Has it ever happened? Why can't we ask? Because politicians committed. If you go into law reform, they have digitized every case in the judiciary. Media has never hired a lawyer to go see in those cases about the judgment given by the judges. And nobody has gone to see those who have been discharged, if they're accused of something, whether the discharge was okay, or the judges were flimsy. The lawyers will tell you, and I think somebody said it, what goes to court has been fully diluted, and it cannot stand the face of justice. What other countries have done is that justice begins from the police station. Yeah? I go and give my story. What happened? It has just happened. I have hit someone, he has died. You know, I tell my story. What should happen? You can give every police station a camera, yeah? Take a picture of that statement and spread it. That is the beginning of justice. But what happens is, when the lawyers find you have incriminated yourself, they go tell the policeman, could you write it this way? And then everything. Media knows this, by the way. They know this, but they don't give or follow some story and say, this story is false. Yeah? But remember I said big data. Remember I said that big data is helping us. Big data is the data that is held, we generate it in mass. We generate the data in our mobile, we generate the data in virtually everything that we are doing. You've been seeing, I don't know whether you follow that, when the police are investigating and someone says, I wasn't there, I wasn't in Nairobi. And then they say, but the car passed, did you have this car? Yes, but your car passed through Westlands at 1 o'clock because that data of cameras picked it. You recall the IBC guy said he was at this time on Mombasa Road, and on the left side sat a woman. You can't change that. You cannot change that. So we have not been able to use or do evidence-based investigative reporting where nobody can dispute, you know. You've been seeing, even the guy was being asked, and he said I was in Westlands. But your phones were here. I left them there, you know. Do you know, if you rewrite Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the phone is among the physiological needs now. Yeah? People don't even leave the house before they go like where the phone is, you know? So you are beginning to see things tightening because of these big data issues. Yeah? Even count the spend, and where we were in Mombasa, and we went to see the CDF, how CDF was spent. In fact, we developed a platform once and put it out on how CDF is spent. Did we put that? I wanted to show you something before. Okay, just put world poverty clock But I want to, or this is your branding, you can't touch. Yeah? 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 This one. Yeah? Okay, what I'm trying the point I'm trying to raise, the point I'm trying to raise in this is there are so many sources of data now that are sufficient to use media. Can you all see that? Yes, I'll come to it. I was told to put it in the mouth so that it can be. There are so many sources of data to change what is happening in this country. So many sources of data. I showed this. This is one of the things we've been working on. It's called World Data Lab. You can actually go in there and see World Data Lab. The number there you are seeing are the total number of people earning below $2 a day. There are almost 600 million who are below $2 a day. Yeah? If we go this way, so that I want to link it so that you, where is the screen? There are more people in the middle income than poor. Yeah? The red is where the most poor people live. And these poor people in the red, even by 2030, they will not be out of there. This map, 4 years ago, India was red. Yeah? India was red, Nigeria was yellow. But Nigeria is generating more poor people than India, than anybody in the world. So it took number one in terms of generating poor people. Yeah? So I want to show you one thing. I have 94 million people in the abject poverty. 94 million. See what happens in 2030. SDGs, in 2030 they would have 113 million poor people. That instead of removing, China did 300 million people in 10 years out of poverty, but we are adding more people into poverty. Yeah? Just 1 second. And by 2030, we'll probably move about 6 million out of poverty if we continued with some of the policies that are giving. If we consistently improved productivity, we will lower our poverty to about 3 million by 2030. But I want you to see one thing here now. I don't know what happened. We have done subnational level. I could tell you which counties would actually be out of poverty by 2030. It's stuck somewhere, I don't know. It's like sometimes they misbehave. And I do this stupid thing where I go see the governors and tell them we could change this, but it has not been changed. I wanted to show you a comparison between Kericho and Homa Bay. The life expectancy in Kericho is 66 years. The life expectancy in Homa Bay is 49. And the governor can change that. And the governor can change that. I mean, studies now understand poverty, how it comes, how you can deal with it. but policymakers have not been able to look at that. You compare Nyeri, that's what I wanted to show you, Nyeri and Meru. Meru would be out of poverty if they consistently did what they are doing and leave the neighboring Nyeri a little behind. And the reason why is that productivity in terms of food in Nyeri went down like, yeah? Why? Because they are misusing land. Some pilots who have been flying that side, 10 years ago, all the rivers, the water was clear. Today, all the rivers, the water is red. They have dug the riparian land, the hills, so when it rains, it just sweeps everything into the rivers. So every river, when you fly, is red. Has anybody seen that? They are all red. They are all red. And you ask the governor, why don't we do the gabions? You remember, not the gabions, we used to do terracing. Well, and that knowledge has simply disappeared from the farmers. And everybody now is doing things that would undermine them. Another county, Kisii, what do you call it? There's a county in Western Kenya, not Vihiga, Kisii, Vihiga, there are like 6 counties, yeah? If we continued this that way, people will kill one another. Land subdivision, lower productivity, higher population growth. You saw in Kisii people burning others, they are witches. It's just that this woman, the husband has died, doesn't have a son, let's call her a witch. We burn her so that we get this 1 acre. That's exactly what's happening. But what media does, they actually go and say that they were killing a woman who was a witch. They have no evidence, no evidence that the woman was a witch. Nobody can say they found her with witches. I don't know, with whatever they have. But these are the stories you actually get. But the truth is that because land subdivision has gotten to a level where productivity has declined, we are seeing crime go up and silly things like that because people want just the 1 acre or 2 acres she has, and they take the land. This is what is happening. So all I'm saying that we could do better in digging deeper. What caused this? What are the causes of the crisis? Until the government intervened, people were dying almost every week. I don't know whether anybody remembers that. And it's beginning to happen in all other places. There are more things I could show. I don't want to talk too long, but there are so many stories that needs to be told. So many stories that we have data to pack our stories, and they are more logical. But what is happening is that we have abdicated our responsibility to do that. I could tell many more stories in our media that sometimes, this is fault. This story is planted. Ethics in media, where politicians would pay to get the headline to do, we know all this. Actually, everybody knows that. They were quarreling the other day that you got money and you didn't put the story, Put the story. So we actually need to do more. And if we can't fight it through the normal formal media, we have other forms of media where we can fight this, we can write this. And more people need to begin to write, tell their stories. I know Alex does, I do weekly, on a weekly I actually do between 6 and 10,000 words every week because I do 2 here, 2 in the US, 1 in Europe. So I sit there. So my wife thinks I have, yeah. So, yeah. So we actually need to, we should be writing this. I don't know whether I need to say more than this or you want to ask questions, then I can delve deeper into several other areas.
Thank you very much.